Have you ever noticed something small happening in your body and wondered if it might be a warning sign? If you're over 60 and beginning to experience little changes, maybe a mild tremor in your hand or a strange stiffness in your shoulder that doesn't go away, you're definitely not alone. Many people assume these are just normal parts of aging. But what if they're not? What if these subtle changes are actually early signals of something more serious, like Parkinson's disease? Parkinson's is a progressive condition that affects movement, coordination, and even mood, and it often begins with signs so minor they're easy to ignore, until the disease has already been quietly advancing for years. Today, let's look at the earliest physical signs your body might be giving you. Signs that neurologists, researchers, and aging specialists now believe could serve as warning lights long before a formal diagnosis is made. These aren't dramatic symptoms. They're small changes in the way you move, walk, speak, or even digest food, things you might not think twice about but should. Let's start with one of the most common early signs, subtle hand tremors. These might show up when you're holding a coffee mug, brushing your teeth, or simply resting your hand in your lap. It's not a big, visible shake, just a tiny, rhythmic movement, like a tapping thumb or finger that happens while your hand is completely at rest. This kind of resting tremor often starts on just one side of the body and can go unnoticed or be brushed off as stress or fatigue. But the key difference is that it happens even when you're not doing anything. No caffeine, no anxiety, just stillness. That's what happened to Howard, a 72-year-old retired principal who first saw his spoon shake ever so slightly during dinner. At first, he joked it off, but months later, as he struggled to button a shirt and his handwriting grew smaller and shakier, he realized something wasn't right. His body had been whispering the truth from the start. So if you notice a light, repetitive tremor, especially when your hand is resting, don't panic, but don't ignore it either. It might not be Parkinson's, but it's worth mentioning to your doctor. Early detection can make a huge difference. Now, let's move on to another surprising early sign, walking more slowly. While we tend to associate Parkinson's with shaking hands or rigid limbs, one of the earliest and most overlooked clues actually shows up in your legs. If you used to walk briskly and now find yourself moving slower without any real reason, taking shorter steps, or even dragging your feet slightly, that's something to notice. This slowness, known as bradykinesia, is a common motor symptom in the early stages of Parkinson's. It's not about being tired or out of shape. This is a persistent change in how your body moves, and it doesn't go away with rest. If your walking has become noticeably slower or feels less natural than it used to, especially if it comes on gradually, it could be your body's quiet way of alerting you to a deeper neurological issue. Once again, awareness is everything. The sooner you recognize these subtle signals, the better chance you have to take action while it still makes a difference. One of the core symptoms of Parkinson's is exactly what it sounds like, the body slowing down. People often describe it as feeling like they're moving through water. Simple tasks that used to be second nature, like turning around or getting out of a chair, begin to take more effort and conscious thought. The legs don't respond as quickly, the stride shortens, and walking no longer feels natural. Take Samuel, a 76-year-old from Arizona who loved his daily 2-mile walks. He began noticing it took him longer to complete his route, but he brushed it off. Weeks later, he found himself hesitating at curbs, stumbling slightly, needing more breaks, and delaying before crossing the street. When his doctor looked closer, they noticed smaller steps, slower pace, and a slight stoop in his posture. It wasn't just aging, it was Parkinson's starting to reveal itself. The key lesson here: if you or someone you care about seems to be slowing down, not from arthritis or injury, but from something less explainable, it's worth paying attention. If walking feels like your legs aren't keeping up with your mind, or someone asks why your walk seems different, don't ignore it. Sometimes, our gait tells a deeper story about what's happening inside the brain. If this resonates with you, drop a number 2 in the comments to let me know you're still here. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on notifications. One leg steps forward, and the opposite arm swings with it. It's a rhythm our brain controls automatically. But when Parkinson's begins to interfere with movement signals in the brain, that rhythm breaks. One arm might stop swinging altogether, or it may move less than the other. What makes this so subtle is that people often don't notice it themselves. It's usually a friend or family member who first says, "Did you hurt your shoulder?" Or, "Why are you walking so stiffly?" The truth is, the arm isn't injured. It's simply not receiving the same instructions from the brain. This loss of automatic arm swing is one of the earliest physical cues neurologists look for, and it typically starts on one side of the body. Unlike stiffness from arthritis or injury, this is neurological. It's a silent signal that the brain's movement pathways are changing. Once you notice it, it becomes hard to unsee. You might catch it in a store window reflection, a home video, or even in a mirror. You'll see one arm swinging freely while the other stays tucked at your side, unmoving, and it won't feel like you. That's what happened to Margaret, 72, from South Carolina. She loved golf, cruises, and walking her dog. One day, her daughter mentioned that her right arm wasn't moving when she walked. Margaret assumed it was fatigue, but as weeks passed, the stiffness stayed. Her right arm remained glued to her side like it had forgotten what to do. After seeing a neurologist, she was diagnosed with early Parkinson's before she had ever experienced tremors. The powerful part of catching this early is that it gives you time. Time to make changes, start therapies, explore medications, and prepare. And that time can make all the difference in preserving your quality of life. Time to slow the progression. Time to reclaim control. Many people believe Parkinson's arrives suddenly, but in truth, it begins with whispers. Subtle changes like how your arm moves when you walk or how your voice sounds during a casual chat. So, if you or someone you care about starts walking with one arm hanging stiffly or swinging less, don't brush it off. It might not be Parkinson's, but it's worth checking with a doctor. Early detection can mean years of staying strong, active, and independent. Now let's talk about another surprising early sign, a sudden softness in your voice. Most of us don't notice our own voice fading until others point it out. But for many in the early stages of Parkinson's, changes in the way they speak are among the first red flags. If people keep asking you to speak up, say you sound far away on the phone, or if your voice feels weaker, breathy, or flat, it might not be aging or a sore throat. It could be neurological. Parkinson's affects not only limbs, but also how the brain signals muscles, including those that control your vocal cords. As these muscles lose strength or coordination, your voice can grow quieter, lose emotion, and feel less vibrant, even when you feel fine inside. Some describe their speech as dull or tired, even though they're alert. And the shift is usually gradual. One week you're telling stories with energy. The next, people are asking you to repeat yourself or noticing your sentences trail off. You might sound monotone without realizing it, and others might assume you're sad or uninterested. But the truth is, your voice just isn't cooperating like it used to. This symptom can be tricky because many seniors chalk it up to aging. But here's the thing, not everyone's voice weakens with age. When the change is noticeable, persistent, and shows up with other signs like reduced expression or movement, it could be Parkinson's knocking early. Just look at Thomas, 74, from Minnesota. Known for his booming storytelling, his wife started noticing he spoke more softly at dinner. His grandkids even asked why Grandpa sounded different. After some hesitation, Thomas saw a neurologist, and sure enough, the diagnosis came, early-stage Parkinson's. Looking back, he realized his voice had started changing nearly a year before anyone thought it was serious. The good news is, this symptom can be addressed. With speech therapy, vocal exercises, and medication, many regain vocal strength and clarity. But the earlier you act, the better your chances of staying heard, understood, and emotionally connected. If you or someone close to you feels like their voice is slipping away or no longer feels like their own, don't wait. Talk to a doctor. Because sometimes, a soft voice isn't just aging, it's your body trying to get your attention. If this part resonates with you, comment number 4 to let me know you're still with me. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss future content like this. Your support helps us bring you helpful, hopeful stories. Now let's continue. Sign 5, shrinking handwriting. When was the last time you really looked at your own handwriting? For many, it's such a familiar and personal part of who we are that we rarely give it much thought, until it starts to change. In the early stages of Parkinson's disease, you might begin a sentence with letters at your usual size, only to see them shrink line by line until they're crammed together like they're stuck in a traffic jam. It's not just about the writing, it's a sign of something deeper. A disruption in the fine motor signals from your brain to your hand. Parkinson's doesn't only affect big movements like walking or turning. In fact, it often first shows up in delicate, precise tasks, like buttoning clothes, brushing your teeth, or writing. The muscles in your hand may still be strong, but the messages they receive from the brain start to misfire, delayed, jumbled, or inconsistent, making writing more effortful, more tiring, and less fluid. Beverly, a 76-year-old from Oregon who loved writing letters to friends, started noticing something was off. Her words got smaller. Her pen felt harder to control. After her daughter joked, "Mom, are you writing in secret code?" She scheduled a doctor's visit. That small observation led to an early Parkinson's diagnosis, and in her words, a head start on treatment that made all the difference. Micrographia isn't a guarantee of Parkinson's, but it's a signal worth listening to. If your handwriting has changed dramatically and it feels more tiring or difficult than before, don't dismiss it as just aging. It could be your body's quiet way of nudging you toward awareness, an invitation to act while there's still time to choose the best path forward. Your handwriting tells a story. The question is, are you paying attention to what it's saying? Now, let's move to sign 6, a change in facial expression. One of the most unexpected and misunderstood early signs of Parkinson's is when your face no longer mirrors how you feel. You might feel perfectly fine, even joyful or engaged, but when you look in the mirror, your expression seems blank. Or maybe someone comments, "Are you upset?" Or you look tired when you're simply relaxed. This isn't vanity, it's something doctors call facial masking. It happens when the muscles in your face begin losing their natural ability to move. Smiles become faint. Eyebrows stop rising. Your eyes don't blink as often, giving you a fixed, distant stare. The tiny, automatic expressions that once communicated curiosity, kindness, amusement, they start to disappear. And this change can be especially frustrating because it can create a disconnect between how you feel inside and how others perceive you. You haven't changed emotionally, but your nervous system has made it harder to show that to the outside world. This symptom can start subtly. Maybe you used to smile in every photo, and now your expression looks more neutral. Or maybe your friends say you seem different, but can't quite explain why. The good news is, once you know what to look for, facial masking becomes easier to spot and easier to talk about with your doctor. Like all early signs of Parkinson's, the key is noticing the pattern before it becomes overwhelming. Early detection opens doors to therapy, medications, and lifestyle changes that can help you stay connected, expressive, and in control. Because your face tells a story too, and it deserves to be heard. What's happening beneath the surface is that Parkinson's slowly interferes with the muscles of the face, especially the ones that react to emotional signals. Unlike a stroke, which typically affects one side of the face, facial masking impacts both sides equally, creating a blank, unchanging expression. You might feel happy, content, or amused, but to others, you appear serious or disconnected, and this gap between how you feel and how you're perceived can be deeply frustrating. Our faces are powerful tools of communication. A smile to greet a neighbor, a raised eyebrow at a surprising comment, a knowing glance shared with a loved one. These subtle cues are the fabric of human connection, and when they begin to fade, the social and emotional toll can be heavy. Many people don't notice it happening to themselves because it's so gradual, but those around them do. Harold, an 82-year-old from upstate New York, didn't realize his face had changed until his granddaughter asked why he always looked so serious. He felt the same inside, still enjoyed cracking jokes and playing cards, but after watching a video of his own birthday party, he was shocked to see how frozen he appeared. That moment led him to seek medical advice, and sure enough, it was Parkinson's. The lesson here is simple: awareness matters. If someone tells you that you seem expressionless or different, don't ignore it. See it as your body's way of nudging you to pay attention. Because often, the earliest signs are the easiest to overlook, but the most important to act on. If this resonates with you, drop a number 6 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, maybe your letters are smaller, closer together, or your hand feels cramped halfway through a grocery list. At first glance, it seems harmless, maybe even something you blame on age, stiff joints, or just being out of practice. But in reality, This can be an early neurological sign called micrographia. It's not just messy writing, it's a window into how Parkinson's is affecting your brain's control over fine motor movements. As dopamine levels decline, the brain has more difficulty sending clear, consistent instructions to the small muscles in your hands. This disruption can make writing feel slow, stiff, and tiring. You may notice that your letters get smaller as you move across the page, or that your usual handwriting style has become cramped and uneven. The lines might tilt, and once effortless pen strokes begin to feel rigid or jerky. For someone who's always taken pride in their neat writing, this change can feel oddly personal, like a small piece of identity is slipping away. But the encouraging news is this: when caught early, micrographia and other signs of Parkinson's can be managed with the right support, therapy, medications, and lifestyle changes. Your handwriting might be trying to tell you something important. The question is, are you listening? Patricia, a 76-year-old woman I spoke with, first noticed something was wrong while writing a birthday card to her sister. It looked like a child had written it. The letters were so small I could barely read them, she said. At first, she blamed it on fatigue, but it kept happening, and eventually she stopped writing by hand altogether and switched to typing. Months later, her doctor saw a note she had written and immediately recognized the signs. 6 months after that, she was diagnosed with Parkinson's. This is a pattern we see far too often. Because handwriting feels like such a small, everyday thing, people dismiss changes in it without realizing those changes can be an early neurological signal. Micrographia isn't laziness or tiredness. It's your body quietly saying something, not functioning as it should. And when caught early, it opens the door to treatment and management that can greatly improve long-term quality of life. To be clear, not all small handwriting means Parkinson's. Sometimes it's due to stiff joints or simply not writing as often. But when the change is sudden or paired with other symptoms like hand tremors, walking changes, or slower movement, it's worth paying attention to. Here's something easy you can do right now. Take a pen and write a few lines about your day. Do it again tomorrow and the next day. Keep those notes and compare them. If you see your handwriting getting tighter, smaller, or shakier over time, don't ignore it. Bring it to your doctor's attention. Your handwriting might be the first and only clue your body gives before something more serious begins to unfold. The truth is, aging doesn't come with a clear guide. There's no perfect map that tells you which signs matter or when to worry. But what I've learned, and what I hope this video helped you realize, is that your body whispers. Those whispers might come as a subtle tremor, a change in your walk, or handwriting that no longer looks like your own. If you pay attention, if you take the time to listen, those whispers can reveal what's happening beneath the surface. And let me be clear, if you've noticed one or more of these signs, it doesn't mean your life is over. It means it's time to listen, to ask questions, and to have an open conversation with your doctor. There's no shame in that, just strength. If you haven't noticed these signs, that's wonderful, but now you know what to look for, both for yourself and for those you love. Every stage of life brings wisdom, beauty, and also responsibility. The responsibility to care for yourself, to be curious about your body, and to act on the small changes that might point to something deeper. Think of this knowledge not as a burden, but as a gift. Share it with someone close to you,